Hey guys, Mosa here, and today I'm bringing you my Week 12 Thursday Night Football predictions between the Cleveland Browns and Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, without a further ado, let's get started. Now, let's kick it off with the injury report of the Cleveland Browns, starting with tight end Geoff Swain with a concussion and tackle Jedrick Wills with a knee injury, both out for the game. Then moving on to guard Joe Bitonio with a pectoral injury, linebacker Jordan Hicks with an elbow and tricep injury, defensive tackle Maurice Hurts with a shoulder injury, wide receiver Jerry Jeudy with a knee injury, Elijah Moore, wide receiver with a shoulder injury, defensive end Myles Garrett with a hip injury, cornerback Greg Newsome II with a shoulder injury, tight end David Njoku with a knee injury, quarterback Dorian Thompson Robinson with a finger injury, and cornerback Denzel Ward with a rib and ankle injury. Now, all those I mentioned are going to be available for this game, and the only two that will be gone are Swain and Wills. Now, this is a heavy toll on the Cleveland Browns offense. Even though they got Elijah Moore and Jerry Jeudy back, they got Denzel Ward back on that defense, and David Njoku on that offense as well. I'm going to be honest, I think that the Cleveland Browns will do all right, and mostly their offense is the one that's going to suffer due to injury. Now, moving on to the offense of the Cleveland Browns, starting with quarterback Jameis Winston, running back Nick Chubb, wide receivers Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman, and Elijah Moore. Then we get on to tight end David Njoku, left tackle Jermaine Fetty replacing Jedrick Wills on that offensive line, Joe Bitonio at left guard, center Ethan Posich. Then we get right guard Wyatt Teller and right tackle Jack Conklin. Now this offensive line will do okay. I think Jermaine Fetty is really the potentially weak side, so I'm expecting a lot of blitzes coming from that side, specifically from TJ Watt. So yeah, I'm gonna expect a lot of that on that side of the field. Otherwise, it's going to be a decent offensive line. Nick Chubb, a lot of runs need to happen today. Elijah Moore and Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman, you got to find them deep downfield, specifically Jerry Jeudy and Elijah Moore, while David Njoku just dink and dunk passes from Jameis Winston. But other than that, I think that this team will do decently, but I mean, it is the Steelers' defense they are facing off against. Now, moving on to the defense of the Cleveland Browns, starting with defensive end Myles Garrett and Isaiah McGuire, along with defensive tackles Dalvin Tomlinson and Shelby Harris. Weak side linebacker is Winston Reed, and with strong side linebacker being Devin Bush, inside linebacker being Jordan Hicks, corners being Denzel Ward and Martin Emerson Jr., along with Greg Newsome II at nickelback. Free safety will be Juan Thornhill and Grant Delpit at strong safety. Now, when it comes to the Cleveland Browns defense, I'm going to be a little iffy, especially because they're facing off against Russell Wilson. And honestly, even though Russell Wilson has been doing pretty good, it's mostly been the receiving core, such as, obviously, you got George Pickens, you got Freiermuth at tight end, you got the run game with Najee Harris, and potentially sometimes with Jaylen Warren. But in the end, I think that this team is going to do honestly decently. When it comes to the defensive line, that's where they got to hit them. They got to hit the quarterback many times. Myles Garrett's got to get there. The linebacking core, I'm more on the side of Devin Bush doing something along with Jordan Hicks. I'm not really that much sure of Winston Reed. Denzel Ward has got to lock down the top receiver, that being obviously George Pickens. And obviously, the secondary is honestly, I believe, the worst part of the Cleveland Browns defense. And most likely, if they don't stop that deep pass for George Pickens, this game's over. Now on to the injury report of the Pittsburgh Steelers, starting with defensive back Corey Trice Jr. and linebacker Alex Highsmith with a hamstring and ankle injury respectively, both out for the game. And then moving on to tight end Michael Pruitt with a knee injury. Now, very short list on the injury report for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but obviously losing Highsmith is a very big loss. Corey Trice, not that big of a deal, but still losing Highsmith is one of the worst things that could have happened to Pittsburgh. But even so, I still don't think this will really affect the Steelers that much. I think the Steelers will do just fine without Alex Highsmith. They still got TJ Watt on the other side. There's no issue. And honestly, even though their defense is the one that's mostly getting the injury bug, I still think they'll do just fine. Now, on to the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. We got Russell Wilson at quarterback, running back Najee Harris, wide receiver George Pickens, Van Jefferson, and Calvin Austin III. Pat Freiermuth at tight end, left tackle Dan Moore. Then we move on to left guard Isaac Simalu, I think that's how you say it. Zach Frazier at center, Mason McCormick at right guard, and Broderick Jones at right tackle. Now on the offensive line, I'm really iffy on Broderick Jones, but relatively it's going to be a decent offensive line. It's going to have some big holes to open for Najee Harris and pass protection for Russell Wilson. When it comes to the receiving game, Freiermuth, Calvin Austin, George Pickens, these three main targets for Russell Wilson. Van Jefferson maybe there on the short routes. And yeah, realistically, that's more in the pass game. In the run game, you obviously got Najee Harris and potentially Jalen Warren in that backfield. Though Najee Harris will get the most carries in this game, obviously being the star running back. But yeah, expect a lot of Browns players to be just rocked by Najee Harris in this game, and the Pittsburgh Steelers offense comes up victorious. Now moving on to the defense of the Pittsburgh Steelers, starting with defensive ends Larry Ogunjobi and Cameron Hayward, nose tackle Keanu Benton, weak side linebacker TJ Watt, and strong side linebacker Nick Herbig, with inside linebackers being Patrick Queen and Peyton Wilson. Then Deontay Jackson and Joey Porter Jr., corner with nickelback being Benny Bishop Jr., free safety Minkah Fitzpatrick, and strong safety Deshaun Elliott. Now when it comes down to it, this game is going to be pretty tough for the Cleveland Browns. I thought I was going to say the Pittsburgh Steelers then, but that would be a lie. Because I honestly think that the Pittsburgh Steelers defensive line, Larry Ogunjobi and Cameron Hayward, are just going to sack Jameis Winston all day long. TJ Watt coming off the edge, that's going to be game over for them. Then inside linebacker, obviously Patrick Queen. Honestly, either they blitz him or they get him onto the tight end, David Njoku. Then you got cornerbacks Deontay Jackson and Joey Porter. You got the receivers all locked up, and then you got a very good free safety in Minkah Fitzpatrick. And honestly, I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers will do just fine in this game without any issues on defense, even though they lost Alex Highsmith. But even though that happened, realistically, I don't think this changes much from the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. Now, in conclusion, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers winning this 27-17. I was going to say 37 for a second, but I think 27 is honestly the best case scenario for the Steelers. They win this game. They win it on defense. I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers defense will indeed make the key stops in this game to make sure the Cleveland Browns do not score more than 20 points. And we see Russell Wilson deep diving it for the receiver George Pickens. We see him tossing a few to Calvin Austin, probably both of them getting a touchdown each in the 2 touchdowns that Russell Wilson will throw, with a rushing touchdown from Najee Harris as well. And I think that this game will end indeed after that with 2 more field goals, and that's game over. Now, that was it for this video. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Who do you think will win, and who do you think will lose? Tell me down in the comments below. Now, like this video if you liked it, subscribe, and hit the notification if you want more videos, and I'll see you guys next time.